Hello, I'm Bill LeMay, and thank you for watching Community Matters. We hope you'll continue to watch as we discuss issues facing our community and provide you with the resources and information needed to find solutions. Welcome. Well, November 1st is heralded holiday time in the Triangle. There are many North Carolina residents for whom the holidays conjure not so holly jolly feelings. With us today is Dana Trent, author and professor of religion and humanities. And Dana, thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Bill.
You got a weird job title, I gotta say. You label yourself the grief guru.
Yes.
Which is, I gotta ask you, tell me about yourself. How did you get to that place?
When I was 25, I had just graduated from Duke Divinity School, and I took a year-long residency at UNC Healthcare in their hospital, where I became what's called the death chaplain, which is the chaplain that is assigned to the units where the most deaths per capita happen in the hospital. And so during that year, I learned to be very comfortable with death and grief because I sat at the bedsides of over 200 patients as they transitioned from life to death. And then I sat with their families as they grieved those significant losses. And time went on, and I wrote it down and wrote all the lessons that my patients had taught me. And 10 years later, my own mother was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And so I utilized the lessons my patients had taught me to give what I would call my mother a good death. And after she died, I learned how to grieve well by utilizing our local hospice organization. I did grief counseling, I did research, I talked with others about their grief. And so I went from the death chaplain to the grief guru in about a span of 13 years.
Wow. Well, listen, having gone through that myself, and I know probably everybody has.
Yes.
Grief is it's a heaviness, it's a tangible thing.
Yeah.
It impacts every aspect of your life. Now, what was it like for you? Obviously, you were there for the patients who passed on, but now you have the family, and of course, their grief is real at that point. Talk a little bit about that and what it's like, and what even you as a person had to go through, and now here we are at the holidays where there are lots of people watching that are going through the same thing you did.
Exactly, and the grief is visceral.
Yes.
When you mourn a loss, it means that you've had a significant relationship. It means that you have loved deeply, and the holidays herald in a time that is full of triggers for our grief. Because if we think about it, the loved one that used to literally be there at the dinner table is no longer there. And so there's something significant missing from all of our gatherings and our traditions and our rituals. And it's very difficult, especially that first year, I found, with both the families that I served and in my own family with my mother's loss.
Now, you went through that, though, but it's completely different. It's going through it the first time for yourself.
Right.
There's nothing to prepare you for that, is there?
Correct.
So you do have the holiday time. I mean, they start Christmas music in October, right? And if you're someone who's dealing with this for the first time, the first Christmas, how do you cope? I mean, how do you hide from it if you want to hide from it, or do you hide from it?
Oh, great question. So there's 3 things that I recommend. First, acknowledging the loss, being very honest with it. Second, knowing that the grief is going to come in waves. It's going to be triggered, and it's going to feel like a big swell of feelings. But the third step is to stay in it, remain in it. As hard as that sounds, you have to honor the grief, especially during that first holiday season, because when we stuff our grief, it comes out in other ways that are not so useful.
Well, explain the honoring the grief. What do you mean by that?
By honoring it, we talk about it. And I think the misconception is that we don't want to talk about it. And I know that when my mother died, it was very painful when folks didn't mention her name or tell stories or share memories. I wanted to hear her name.
Even though it made you cry.
Even though it made me cry. Exactly. You've just nailed it. It's the idea that it's okay to cry, especially that first holiday season. It's okay to laugh. Laughter and tears, happiness, joy, and sadness, they're not mutually exclusive.
Don't you feel like you can't, though?
Yes,
I mean,
in some
you feel
ways
like,
you do. Right.
I shouldn't be, this is wrong.
You feel guilty. Yes. And the idea is that I offer folks this advice, taking that guilt and trying to just Just shift it just slightly to grace, from guilt to grace. In other words, be gentle with yourself and with others, and acknowledge that it's going to be a tough season. And the more you tell your loved ones, hey, I'm having a tough time, they understand. And certainly your loved one who's passed away would understand and would want you to take time for yourself, take care of your needs, and do the best you can.
Well, having been in that shoe, as far as having someone who's lost someone, and they are having a tough time, my goodness, I can't be the only awkward one who doesn't know what to do or what to say. And I'm sure a lot of people feel like, well, I don't want to make you cry. You know, I don't want to make you feel bad. What do you tell them?
That's a great question. Definitely acknowledging their loss is number one. So it's okay to say, I'm really sorry, and I know that this holiday season is going to be tough for you, and I'm here. I'm here to listen. I'm here to help you in any way I can. I'm here to do something specific for you. Just letting them know that you see them and you recognize the grief, because so often we don't want to talk about it, and that can be more painful than the grief itself.
People will avoid people who are grieving.
Yes, they will.
It's so uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable because people don't know what to say, and what they don't realize is simply saying, I'm so sorry, and sometimes not saying anything at all, but just being present, offering a hug, offering a feeling of understanding, doing something for that person can mean so much, especially during the holidays.
Is it okay to skip Christmas if you feel like you just can't?
If you just can't. I think it is, and I think it's healthy to know what you can opt into and what you need to opt out of, and knowing that it's temporary. If there are things surrounding the holiday season, rituals, traditions that you feel like you just cannot do, being honest about that is important, and knowing that it's temporary. Next year might look very different, and you may feel like doing everything next year, but being gentle with yourself that first holiday season is important.
Other people have to acknowledge that too, because you know what they're going to try to do.
Right.
Right? We can't let mom or dad stay alone. No. It's not healthy for you.
Right.
You're telling them it's okay to just back off. What should they do in that case? If they don't want to celebrate Christmas, you should do something, shouldn't you?
Correct. There's lots of other things you can do. Let's say it's a particular tradition that's painful, or let's say they're the person who's hosted the party. You can offer to host the family gathering or the party. You can offer to do their shopping. You can offer to help them wrap presents. You can take care of their children while they get some downtime. If they're caregiving for an older adult, you can offer some respite care. There's lots of little things you can do just to make the holiday time easier for them if they feel like they do need to take a break.
All right. Well, we've got a lot more to do. A lot of questions to ask, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with tips on how to cope during the holiday season and the depression that comes with it. So stick around.